On Monday, we talk season preview and futures wagers. Today, we're going to break down our season win total best bets. Are you in? What's up, sports fans? My name is Chris, and thank you so much for tuning into episode 2 of The Bounce. Today's Wednesday, May 17th, and we are just 48 hours away from tip-off on the WNBA regular season. In this episode, we're going to be breaking down the regular season win totals for all 12 teams and giving you my best bets for each of the win totals. If you guys aren't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so now and drop a like on the video. If you aren't following The Bounce on wherever you get your podcast episodes from, please go ahead and do so and drop a 5-star rating. All odds in this video are courtesy of FanDuel. So now without further ado, let's get right into the 12 regular season win totals for the 2023 WNBA regular season. To start, we're going to talk about the two preseason WNBA title favorites, the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. Coming into the season, both teams have win totals of 30.5, and they're sitting at minus 115 odds on both sides of the coin. If you guys have listened already to my WNBA season preview, if you haven't, the link is in the description. You'll obviously know that I'm high on these two teams for obvious reasons, and I do believe they're on a crash course to meet in the WNBA finals. However, these two teams are going to have to go 31-9 this season to cash the over on the regular season win total, and anything can happen throughout the course of the season. The Aces, they're going to need to find a way to break in Candace Parker into the starting lineup without ruining any sort of team chemistry the team has going for them, given that they've won the championship last season. And as for the Liberty, they're breaking in three great players in Brianna Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot, and Jonquel Jones. And they're going to have to find a way to, mesh all together and figure out the chemistry in a hurry. These two teams are definitely the cream of the crop in the WNBA this season. But in this league, they haven't never played 40 games, which they're going to be doing so this year for the first time in league history. And only two teams in the history of the WNBA have finished with single-digit season losses. The obvious choice, is going to be to take the over on both teams. They are the dominant forces in this league. But I do see them winning the conference easily, but I do see them, finishing with 29 or 28 wins. I think this line is just a tad too high. Give me the under 30.5 wins for both the Liberty and Aces. Next up, we are talking Washington Mystics basketball, and they come into the season with a season win total of 24.5, juiced minus 120 to the over. When you look at this team, you see a team that has just 6 guaranteed contracts, which means there's going to be a lot of adjusting on the fly throughout the regular season. But you also see a team that is led by Elena Delle Donne, who is fully healthy now, 100%, and is not going to be having any minute restrictions throughout the course of the season. And you also see a young core of players that have played together for quite some time. And they have a number 1 defense from last year. If they can replicate that this season, they should be able to cruise into the playoffs, and beat up on the weaker teams in the Eastern Conference, which is why I'm going to go over the 24.5 win total at odds of minus 120. Next up, we have the Connecticut Sun, and they enter the season with a season win total of 22.5, shaded to the under at odds of minus 130. The loss of Jonquel Jones is going to be a big factor for them on both ends of the court, but aside from the Aces and Liberty, this Connecticut Sun team is deep. They have the depth that they need to get hot in a hurry and go on a deep run. They're going to be able to beat up on the bottom feeders in the WNBA, and they may even steal a game or two away from the Liberty and Aces when they're playing at home. I like this team to go over their season win total 22.5 at odds of plus 105. Next on the list is the Phoenix Mercury, and they enter the season with a 21.5 regular season win total with minus 115 odds on both sides of the coin. This team, I don't believe in them. I think they're going to struggle this season mightily. They had some off-court issues last year with Brittany Griner in the Jalen situation. On the court, Diana Taurasi and Skylar Diggins-Smith did not get along. Skylar Diggins-Smith is going to be out for the beginning part of the season due to pregnancy. Taurasi is getting older, and the Phoenix Mercury just don't have a roster that can compete in a Western Conference. That is definitely going to be far more improved this year than it was last year. I'm taking the under if I had to at 21.5, but I do believe this line is just right. So for that, I will likely pass betting this season win total. Next up, we have the Dallas Wings and the Atlanta Dream, both sitting at 19.5 season win total, and I'm taking both of them on the under for a couple of reasons. Both teams simply have no idea who they are on the court, and their identity is going to be their downfall this season. They have pieces in place that shouldn't be there, and I'm going to take a more skeptical approach and believe that they're in store for a long season, that they're going to be two of the biggest trade deadline sellers this year. Not optimistic about either team's chances this season, so give me the under 19.5 for both the Wings and Dream. Next up, we have the Minnesota Lynx at their season win total of 17.5, shaded to the under at odds of minus 140. Look, this team just won 14 games last season and lost key pieces in the offseason. 4 extra games this season doesn't mean a chance to bump up the win total, just means more losses potentially. I'm not sold on this Lynx team. I think they're a terrible team, and I'm going to delay the juice and take the under 17.5 wins here at odds of -140. The next two teams we're talking about are the Chicago Sky and the Los Angeles Sparks. Both the teams enter the season with regular season win total sitting at 16.5. The Sparks, they have some really good pieces on their roster, and I'm expecting to be competitive this season. And I'm taking a opposite approach of what I'm doing with the Dream and Wings. I'm taking a more optimistic approach, as I like the potential of what this roster could turn out to be. As for the Sky, they lost simply literally everyone that is good on their roster. This is a roster that's led by Kalea Copper now, and I'm just not sure they're good enough to compete in a Eastern Conference. Give me the over 16.5 for the Sparks, and give me the under 16.5 for the Chicago Sky. The second to last team we are going to talk about is the Seattle Storm, and they enter the season with a regular season win total sitting at 12.5. Look, the loss of Breanna Stewart to the Liberty and the retirement of Sue Bird is definitely going to throw a wrench in Seattle's plans moving forward. But I do like their key pieces that they have on the roster. I think they're going to catch some teams by surprise, and I think they're going to use their home court advantage to build up some wins in this season. It's a low total, but I'm going to be taking the over 12.5 wins here for the Seattle Storm. And the last team we are talking about is the Indiana Fever, and their season win total coming into this season sits at 10.5. This is a very low number, and you're almost inclined to take the over on this number. But unless Aaliyah Boston turns into prime Shaq, this team is going to struggle mightily this season. Their roster is terrible, and none of them would get into the Liberty or Aces or Mystics or Suns for that matter, starting 5. And tanking this year might not be a bad idea, considering what's at the end of the rainbow. A chance to draft Paige Buckers, Caitlin Clark, or Angel Reese. Give me the under 10.5 wins for the Indiana Fever. I think it's going to be a long season in Indiana. That wraps up the second episode of The Bounce. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to help support the podcast, please drop a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share it with your friends on social media. The next episode of The Bounce will be available Thursday night, and I'll be breaking down Friday's WNBA betting board. Until next time,